With that, I'm going to introduce our first startup in the next batch, Edmund, who is Australia's first fully cyber insurance coverer, who is focusing on providing coverage for cyber in businesses.
Yeah, good morning. We're Edmund Insurance. We're Australia's first fully digital cyber insurance provider. We allow SMBs to buy cover in around 7 minutes. My name is Chris Lynham. I'm based here in the US. My co-founder, Richard Smith, is here over from Australia as well. We've loved the week. It's been great. So let's get started. I'm going to assume a little bit of knowledge about cyber risk, given it's an insurance audience. I find this slide really interesting from a macro sense. This is the World Economic Forum's global risk landscape for 2018, and right up in the top right quadrant, you'll see on an impact and likelihood scale, cyber attack is there. So the risk has been acknowledged. The interesting thing about this global risk landscape is if you go back to 2015, cyber attacks weren't on it. Corporates have embraced cyber insurance, well over the past decade in the US, and probably the last 5 or 6 years in our home market of Australia. But the SMBs are increasingly finding themselves in the spotlight. There's a lot of press. They're seen as soft targets, and certainly that frequency of business loss to SMBs is materialising. Despite that, penetration is super low. It's 15%, but we're seeing demand pick up really, really rapidly in the SMB space. So why does Edmund exist? We came from traditional broking backgrounds. We know that distribution for cyber and SMB has its challenges, or has had its challenges. We think a lot of that has had to do with ease of transaction. The demand drivers are there for SMBs. The big one is obviously regulation. Everybody would have heard of GDPR by now. Australia brought in mandatory breach reporting. I think Canada's got similar legislation coming. The other interesting demand driver that we're seeing in our customer base is actually through the supply chain. So corporates and enterprise businesses who are already very aware of their exposure are seeking confirmation from SMB customers that they've got good security hygiene and they've got cyber insurance in place. So what is Edmund? We began development last October. We went live in April. We're in market and we're writing GWP. SMBs can go online anytime on any device and buy cover in about 7 minutes. We're extremely proud of our ability to pull together some big corporate partners in this venture. So our capacity in Australia is provided by the Munich Re Syndicate at Lloyd's. Richard and I are cover holders at Lloyd's. And our cyber incident response is provided by KPMG. The reason why we're proud of those partnerships is our ability to deliver them to SMBs, particularly the KPMG emergency response. That would probably be cost prohibitive for most SMB businesses. We're using an alternative distribution model, so we're not actually dealing through brokers and agents in Australia at the moment. We're dealing direct because we can build direct dialogue with customers. We can help them with risk mitigation, and we're also working very, very closely with managed services providers and IT security consultants, building a deep referral network through those partners. A little bit about the key digital assets. We've got a full lifecycle digital platform, so customers can quote, buy, and review their cover at any time on any platform. A very adaptive UX. We can deploy it in partner sites. We can change the customer journey where we need to. That's underpinned by the actuarial model, which we built from the ground up with some actuarial partners out of Sydney. The important part about these digital assets is the way they interplay. In order to be successful with SMB, you need that ease of transaction, but you also need really good risk pricing. The actuarial model was built with that purpose in mind and does a lot of the heavy lifting to enable a really good customer experience that gets them in and out and has them covered in under 10 minutes. The next iterations for Edmund, well, we consider what we've done in Australia. We're in market. It's our live bootstrapped POC. We're pretty happy with it so far. We're looking to secure funding for growth. And then the next big endeavour is partnering to build out the technology solutions for risk mitigation and identification so that we can improve our underwriting and the customer experience. Right on 4 minutes. Any questions?